On today's episode of Setting the Pace, we're talking with the general manager of the Noblesville Boom. It is Chris Taylor. The Noblesville Boom are currently in training camp right now, so Chris is going to get us caught up on all of that. Talk to us about the draft they just had over the weekend, some of the players they acquired in the offseason, some of the two-way guys that the Pacers currently have on their roster and how they've developed over the last couple of years, and his thoughts on some of the preseason players the Pacers had, Jalen, Slawson, and Gabe McGlothan. So it's going to be a very good conversation. And of course, I shouldn't forget this, Kyle Guy is back in the G League, and so he's playing for the Boom, and we get some thoughts on how Kyle Guy has looked early on. So really good stuff here from Chris, but before we get to that, I just want to quickly say Rick Carlisle gave us an injury update at practice. Dustin Dopirak with the questions. Thank you, Dustin, for asking and kind of pushing a little bit. Got some clarity on Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin left the game against Minnesota. He's going to be out for a month with, it looks like, a foot injury. So not great there, but the good news is Talon Peter was upgraded from out against the Dallas Mavericks to doubtful. So he is making progress. He could potentially be coming back within the next couple of days. Don't want to put a timetable on it, but that is a good sign to see him move from out to doubtful. The other player, Benedict Mathurin, who got hurt in the Grizzlies game, talked about doing some more imaging in Dallas. Looks like Rick said they're going to be doing some more imaging on that when they get back to Indianapolis. He is week to week, so we will see how long he is out. Johnny Furphy also appears to be making some progress per Rick Carlisle, but still don't know. Andrew Nembhard's doing some stuff on the court with his work, so it looks like the Pacers are going to be struggling for the next week or so, maybe 2 weeks without some of their key guys, but could potentially get some players back in the rotation. But still a month for Obi Toppin, a couple more weeks for TJ McConnell and Cam Jones. So this 8 players on the injury report is just killing the Pacers' depth right now. But you know what? You got to just keep moving forward and give these guys an opportunity to go out there and prove why they belong on the court. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hit that intro music, and then we'll get to our conversation with Chris Taylor.
This is Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
Halliburton driving, pulls up, jump shot. It's good! It's good!
Smith again, 3, got it! He's a flamethrower!
Siakam, a 3. Siakam hits the 3! Pacers have the lead!
Nembhard looked at a 3. He's going to take a long 3.
The pep in the step is back.
Mathurin fires away, pots ahead! Mathurin madness!
This is how legacies are built.
Nembhard's got to put it up. Step back, his three-pointer. Nembhard knocks the 3 down!
Andrew Nembhard was so good.
Toppin, corner 3, and rattles in! Pacers down 3. Halliburton's got the ball. Halliburton rises up! You have got to be kidding me. Yeah! That's how we
feel. Joining us now on Setting the Pace, he is the general manager of the Noblesville Boom. It is Chris Taylor. Chris, thanks for making your Setting the Pace debut. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me, Alex. I'm really excited for the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking at the game, opening night against the Thunder. We're like, we've got to get you on the podcast and talk about this Noblesville Boom team, obviously formerly the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, which turned into the Indiana Mad Ants, and now you guys have a new facility out in Noblesville. Talk to me a little bit more about that facility and what you guys are hoping to try to build out there with that culture.
Yeah, I think the phrase and the word that I have continuously said, everyone's probably tired of me saying it. Actually, it's been around me, but excited. I mean, it's true excitement across the board. The Arena at Innovation Mile in Noblesville, it's a gorgeous facility. A little biased, but I think everyone would agree with me that it's the nicest in the G League. You've probably seen the renderings online. I mean, it's state of the art. Every little detail, was thought about, and it's specific to the players, and it's going to be phenomenal for the G League. And our group, our players have not yet visited the arena. I'm really excited to see their reactions when they first step in the locker room. I mean, it's an NBA locker room, and I think it just shows the amount of financially, and the overall commitment that the Pacers have made to the importance of the G League, and obviously, the city of Noblesville goes hand in hand with that. We could just see the G League impact on the NBA, this arena is no exception to just the positive momentum that we have as an organization.
I saw you guys were having your training camp started this week, actually yesterday around, I think you guys had practice at 5:30. You guys are actually doing it at the Pacers practice facility. Is there a reason why you guys aren't practicing out in Noblesville? Is it because of all the resources you have at the practice facility?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, the resource component. And then, so after COVID, when we moved to Indianapolis, and we started utilizing St. Vincent Center, just realized, I think it's just that, like I said, the G League impact, on the NBA is very present, and just being able to share a facility with the NBA team, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's an excellent, opportunity for our players to be able to utilize world-class facilities and truly focus on development. And it's also a great way for our staff to be around, the NBA staff, whether it's our athletic trainers or strength coaches, and obviously our coaching staff. And, even myself to be able to learn from the best of the best, and be around them every day is huge for our own professional growth. And then in the same light, for the Pacers staff to be able to stop in, watch practice, watch, training camp right now, whatever it may be. And it's a huge selling point for our players. When we're talking to them or their agents to say, Pacers GM, Pacers head coach, coaching staff, whoever it may be, will be around throughout the course of the season, watching practices and truly evaluating them. And that's where you see, these, we like to refer to them as better basketball opportunities, whether that's an NBA call-up or, just promotional opportunity. That's where those come from. So it's a natural kind of partnership there. But to answer your point, yes, we'll continue to practice at the Pacers facility downtown, and then we'll go to Noblesville for games.
That's perfect. And, we were talking on Thursday, and you were saying the Boom are going to have the most weekend games of any G League team. And I think that is really good for fans to know because, look, the Pacers obviously play 41 home games and a lot of opportunities on weekends to go see the Pacers play at Gamebridge. But if the Pacers aren't playing, there's a good chance the Boom could be playing in Noblesville on a weekend night. So, are you hoping that maybe some of those later start times could help impact the fan base? Because as we've seen before, those afternoon games on the weekdays are pretty tough to get fans to.
Definitely tough. Yeah, I think for the past couple seasons while we were playing double headers at Gamebridge, which was a phenomenal experience for our players, to seeing that carrot of the NBA dangling right in front of them by playing in an NBA facility was fantastic. I think this is an excellent opportunity to really build that fan base from the ground up, and for them to experience that community component that is so important. And I can tell you just from talking to the players, they're also incredibly excited, like I said, to build that fan base. But, I think, so it's going to be normal, just kind of a normal season, for lack of a better phrase, playing those evening games, a lot of Friday, Saturday games. I think, the stat was we have the most Saturday home games in league history,
Wow.
So that there's no better opportunity, to kind of, to build that relationship with the city of Noblesville.
Saturday, the G League draft took place, and you guys had the 27th overall pick, the 53rd overall pick, and took two players. You also signed somebody out of the available player pool afterwards. And previously, in the summer, you guys traded for the rights to Jalen Slawson. So can you talk to me about who you drafted and what you were thinking with all of your picks?
Yeah, it's definitely been a busy preseason leading up to the start of training camp yesterday. So at Saturday's draft, I think the G League draft is a very interesting kind of aspect of putting a roster together now because so the draft is on a Saturday. We do not get the final draft list until it was 4 p.m. on Friday evening, the day before. So granted, it's a working list. So, front office and coaching staff dive into the different scouting aspects and intel gathering for the couple weeks leading up to the draft. But really, we don't know the final list until less than 24 hours before the draft. So
Crazy.
It's a little hectic, certainly unique compared to the NBA draft. But and for the most part, and the draft is also just 2 days before training camp starts. So you draft guys on a Saturday, they fly into market on Sunday, and then hit the ground running on Monday. So for the most part, your roster's in pretty good shape. But it's a way to find some hidden gems, some late additions, and kind of fill out training camp. So with our in the first round, number 27, we took Ben Coupette Jr. Ben's played for the last 3 seasons with the Windy City Bulls. Really excited about him, a versatile hybrid, kind of play 3-4 in the G. He's played well against us in the past, so excited about that addition. And then late in the second round, we took Ahmad Rory, little point guard out of Montana, and then he's had a really impressive overseas career and just wanted to try to give the G League a try. So he's been a great fit in these first 2 practices. So excited about that. And then you had mentioned signing a player after the draft. Out of the available player pool, we picked up Ethel Horton, who played last year with the Grand Rapids Gold, a crafty kind of bulldog type of guard. Again, he had played well against us, and I'm a huge fan of those players that maybe kind of get lost in the shuffle, or similar to how we approach things with the Pacers. Kind of like now not comparing Ethel to Aaron Nesmith, but these guys, maybe their fit wasn't great in their original with the original team, and now you can plug them into our system and hope that they fit and can really help elevate their game.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I saw the 27th overall pick as it was happening, but I didn't see the rest of the draft. Trying to just go through so many things on Saturday, but I'm really interested about a former Indiana native coming back out of retirement. He was coaching, and that's Kyle Guy. Kyle Guy coming out of retirement and is now with your team, and one of the older players on this group as well. I think fans have always had just an infatuation with him from his time at Virginia, and then just what he did in high school here. So what do you think Kyle Guy is going to bring to the table, and what can fans expect from him?
That is definitely one of the more unique situations that I've had during my time in the G League. This will be my 5th season in the GM role, and yeah, certainly one of the more unique ones, but also very exciting. Locally, Kyle would put on a show every night at Lawrence Central, and then went on to win a national championship at Virginia, then had a 3-year NBA career. So brings a wealth of experience. Like you said, I think he saw an opportunity to get into high-level college coaching while he was playing overseas, and kind of jumped at it, and then realized a couple years in that he still had that itch and still had the ability to play. And I can tell you these first couple of days of training camp, and he's been here working with us for a couple weeks. He hasn't lost a step. He still has that innate ability to score. And I think the cool part is just me observing, on the sidelines during practice. You can tell his coaching experience has changed his perspective on the game. So just seeing him interact with not just the teammates but also our coaches, I think it's definitely a different point of view, and he has a better understanding of the game. So he signed an Exhibit 10 contract with us. It's definitely unique. Like I said, because this is his hometown, I think it was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity to be a part of the inaugural season of the Boom, come back home with his family, and have a chance to give it another shot to see if he can, garner an NBA call up and show everyone that he still has it.
I mean, look, at some point, maybe you guys will get Quenton Jackson, RayJ Dennis, and Talon Peters some playing time in Noblesville. But right now, the Pacers are so thin, they need everybody from the 2-way deals to be playing for them. You guys still have 15 players on your training camp roster. So just a full group of guys. And Kyle Guy is one of those players that I don't know what exactly his role be in this offense, or in this team system. But do you kind of see him as a starter, or do you see him as more of a guy that might come off the bench?
Still working through that in training camp, but I definitely envision, if Kyle performs the way that we all expect and to the level that I know he holds himself accountable for, I certainly see him as a starter. And like I said, he still has that natural scoring ability. He can go get a bucket at any time, and I think he's gonna show that on a nightly basis with the Boom.
2 guys that we saw with the Pacers during the preseason was Jalen Slawson and Gabe McGlothan, 2 players that are going to be on this team as well. What did you like about what they did in preseason, and how can they maybe use that experience to help them lead this team with the Boom next season?
Yeah, both of those players had excellent training camps with the Pacers. They took advantage of every opportunity, I think. Initially coming in, weren't really sure what that opportunity was necessarily going to look like going into, practices and then into preseason games. You look at, they both logged serious minutes throughout the course. So I think they both showed their versatility. They're both players we scouted significantly over the last couple years. Gabe starting at Grand Canyon, and then last year played in the G League with the Grand Rapids Gold, played Summer League with the Dallas Mavericks. And then Slawson was on a two-way out of Furman with the Sacramento Kings first season, and then played last year with the Osceola Magic, who had a very successful run to the G League Finals. So both players that we're very familiar with. I just felt, looking at them, I think they were great fits with how we want to play. Piggybacking off the Pacers style. Like I said, both those players are super versatile, kind of positionless, which I'm a huge fan of. Both guys had a chance to show their shooting along with their athleticism. In Pacers preseason, I think you go through the reps at the highest level. Now in our training camp, everything slows down a little bit. They're able to truly show that versatility. And I think that's the main reason why these players take full advantage of that time in NBA training camps.
The G League is a great opportunity for players to grow their game and potentially get that call up, like you said, with the Pacers coaching staff and the front office being there. Like, they're really evaluating and scouting what kind of fits what the Pacers want to do. And I know they try to replicate some of the same play style. And so you can, send guys down that are on these rookie deals, like we've seen Johnny Furphy do before, and Jarris Walker and players like that, as they get some reps to just try to get themselves more familiar with having different responsibilities. But you brought up the Osceola Magic. I'm curious, the Pacers' recent signing, because they're so thin right now at guard, Mac McClung, obviously played against him a lot, and he's put some damage on the Mad Ants with his ability to just put the ball in the basket. So what can Pacer fans expect from Mac McClung as he's on this roster, for the foreseeable future?
Talk about timing. Good timing with having a G League GM the day that the signing was official with Mac, with a little bit of insights. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Mac over the years, and as you said, he has done some serious damage against our teams in the past couple G League years. I think one thing, everyone's just instantly going to look at the dunk contest, wins for the last couple years and just think about his extreme athleticism. But I think when you really take a closer look at what he brings to the table, it's so much more than just that athleticism. He's truly a dynamic scorer, brings something special to the table with just his knack for scoring and how smooth he is with the ball. He can get to the rim, but also he's great in the mid-range, and he's a shooter as well. So he's really a jack of all trades on the offensive end, and he does play quickly, which obviously is a major component of what the Pacers are doing upstairs. So I think I'm excited for how he's going to fit, and he's going to have an opportunity. You hit it on the head when you said, we're down pretty bad with guards, unfortunately, at this time. It's like I was actually doing some stretching, working on my ball handling skills to see if maybe I could get the call. So Mac's going to get an opportunity, and I think we'll really see that dynamic scoring ability that he has.
I'm curious, why do you think it is? Because there's been a lot of conversations, there's been a lot of YouTube videos of why Mac McClung hasn't been able to, stick in the NBA. And a lot of it comes down to, from what I've seen, is just he's a small, undersized shooting guard that doesn't have the wingspan. But like, if he can do what he does and be like a 2-time G League MVP and a 3-time slam dunk champion, like, there's obviously something there. So why can't he stick in the NBA? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think, like you said, I think he's stuck a little bit in between positions when you look at it. But at the same time, something that we preach all the time in the G League, it's all about opportunity. All you need is one shot. And that's what you hope with this, that, he's going to take full advantage. And maybe it's just a system, or maybe it's, connecting with certain teammates, or really interacting well with a certain coach that just kind of that gets your shot, and then you roll with it from there. We've seen, there's countless players like that are just kind of, you get the call, and then for whatever reason, things just kind of click all of a sudden, then you keep rolling. So I think this could easily be one of those situations.
I hope it is. I always hope for guys to get their opportunities and make the most of it. And whether he sticks with Indiana, or maybe another team has interest and says, wow, what he did with Indiana was really special, maybe we can bring him on our team. Like, I always root for guys like that because I know it's got to be tough trying to decide if you want to play overseas or play in the G League and waiting for that NBA opportunity. And so you're just kind of stuck in between, just not knowing what exactly is to come. But it sounds like he outworked some other players in a workout per Rick Carlisle on his morning show. And so good for him to kind of earn this opportunity. Now, moving forward here, I do want to talk about some of the players that are currently on the two-way deals that you've seen in your system. That's Quenton Jackson and RayJ Dennis. I want to start with Quenton first because so many fans have been clamoring for Quenton to get on an actual standard contract with the Pacers, especially with how thin they are at guard. And fans have just grown to love Quenton Jackson and the way that he plays the game and the energy that he brings and the hustle that he brings. So how much have you seen Quenton develop since you guys acquired him early on? And how do you think he could fit in with the Pacers if they were to someday give him that call up to a standard contract?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you hit it on the head too, and you just said, fans are drawn to him. It's not just fans; it's anybody that's around Quenton. He has that infectious, positive energy, regardless of what setting you're in. You could be sitting beside him at dinner, a perfect stranger, and you'd be drawn to him with that infectious energy. So you totally see how that positively impacts a team in the locker room, or look at the energy that he brings on the bench, even if he's during the playoffs last year when he was in street clothes, because two ways can't dress in the playoffs. Like you would have thought that he was every single player's number one fan, with how quickly he was up off the bench or cheering, or, everything that he does, is truly a positive, impact on the team and winning. So I think, it starts there. And then that translates perfectly to what he brings on the court. He has NBA speed, NBA quickness with the ball. And to your point about, just watching his development over the last couple of years, I think one of the bigger knocks, him coming in was his shooting. He's certainly improved that. His stroke looks a lot better. Percentages have improved. His confidence has improved. I think when you look at some of those early G League games, when he came out as a rookie and in his second year, he was reluctant to shoot. Some of those guys, you see that where they're just told, time and time again, like, hey, just get to the rim. That's not your game. He's put the work in, and I think that's another thing. He's a dog, and he'll openly admit that. We kind of joke. He calls me big dog. I call him little dog. It's just kind of a joke when he first got here. When he was on his two-way contract, but he truly is a dog, in all aspects, just with that work ethic. And I think the sky's the limit for him. He's one of those guys. You talk about betting on somebody. That's definitely that type of player.
Yeah, put all your chips in for Quenton Jackson, because this is a guy that it's hard not to keep him on the court when he plays. Like, I mean, at one point last year, we saw him with the Pacers having injuries to Nembhard and Nesmith and things like that. He was starting at 2 next to Tyrese. I mean, this is a guy that the Pacers were like, we got to get something energy-wise, defense-wise, and he was ready for any challenge that came his way. And, I think that some people would say he's maybe a tweener guard, right? Maybe a little bit of an undersized 2, a guy that likes to look to score first. But I feel like I've seen some improvements with his playmaking. I felt like we really saw that during the preseason before he ended up hurting his hamstring against the Thunder in that second game. But at Fan Jam, there was a couple plays where he was really setting some guys up, and I thought, I feel like Quenton has been challenged to be more of an initiator, more of a passer, and it seems like he's kind of worked on that skill set, and maybe that could be something he develops a little bit more as he continues this path to trying to make it to the NBA full time.
I completely agree. One of the things that we preach, threes off of paint touches, and with Quentin's speed with the ball, just kind of he's kind of slithery getting into the lane, right? He's able to get in the paint. And now, instead of just attack the rim first, he has that mindset of spraying out to the corners or, hitting guys on the perimeter, which is huge. And you mentioned it too. I didn't mention it initially. His impact on the defensive end has been fantastic. I mean, he has no fear. He's going to go up against anybody, whether it's SGA or some of these bigger guards. He doesn't back down, and he's going to pick up full court. He's going to get bumped. He's going to hit the floor, but he's going to get up every time and just compete. So it's impressive.
All right, I want to move over to RayJ Dennis. This was a kid that had a great opportunity against the Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday to close a game out that was very close. Had a key steal where he passed it back to Pascal. Pascal hits a 3 to cut it to 2 points. I mean, just really when he came into the game, it kind of felt like the Pacers got more under control because he is more of that natural point guard, a little bit undersized, but there's a lot of things that I think he could work on, but obviously still like a talented player. My favorite part of that game, I think, is in the third quarter, Obi Toppin is clapping for the basketball. The shot clock's winding down. RayJ doesn't even look his direction, just pulls up and shoots and drills a three. And the Pacers were really struggling to get baskets at that point. And it's like, I feel like there's sometimes maybe he doesn't always need to take the shots that he takes, but for the most part, I do like his decision-making overall, but curious your thoughts on just the development you've seen from RayJ since you acquired him mid-season last year and how he's fit in with this Pacers roster as well.
Yeah, as a rookie, so at the start of last season, he was an Exhibit 10 player with the San Diego Clippers. He had a great stretch in the showcase component of the G League season. It was like the first 16 games leading to the G League showcase in Orlando just before Christmas. He had a great run. I didn't really know if he could improve upon that. And then we signed him to a two-way, and he exceeded everything across the board statistic-wise for the rest of the year. Ended up being voted third team All-G League, which was great. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he was, like 22-10 almost for the G League season. And again, those are especially the assist side of the things. That's what you see translate to the NBA level. He's a high IQ, confident player, which shows, with those kind of gut shots, like you said. He's not afraid to pull up if the shot clock's winding down or whatever the case may be. And you trust him with the ball in his hands. Yeah, like every other two-way player, they certainly have growth, and there's area for development. And I think it's coming with that comfortability as being, a true setup guy at the NBA level. But that's why, they're logging serious minutes in the G League as well. And you've seen when these guys get the opportunity right now with all these injuries, they're playing great and taking full advantage.
Yeah, you were right on the money there with the points. 22.4 points per game last year, 6.2 rebounds, and 9.1 assists with 1.8 steals. So, Quenton and him both had 1.8 steals together last year, and Q was 23.4 points per game with 5.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists. So, those two guys are really kind of the focal points, I think, for your team scoring last year, with who was out there on the floor, and not including the Dakota Mathias, Enrique Freeman, like you mentioned it off air. I think you guys have brought in a brand new team outside of your two-way deals. No carryover, I guess is the right word. With it's all new players for this group. So how do you think that is going to impact the chemistry of this group?
Yeah, it's been different. This is the first time in my tenure that we have a completely new team, no returners. And back to my point earlier about better basketball opportunities, that's a result of, kind of one of those cultural pillars. All of our players from last season ended up in better roles, whether that was, a big contract overseas, or just a better opportunity with a different G League team, taking those strides, whatever the case may be. That's the result of us having a completely new roster. And the one thing that I talk about with our coaching staff, the G League, it's tough because in my mind, one of the keys to success is consistency. And in the G League, it's a revolving door, a lot of times with rosters and staff. So it's really tough to kind of beat out that component of success. But when you said culture, that's what we believe in. That can be the one consistency when we don't have the same roster, don't have the same staff, whatever it may be. If we have those strong cultural beliefs and we can get our guys to buy into our bigger kind of those collective goals, then guys come together. And piggybacking off what the Pacers, kind of a Pacers approach too of trying to locate high character players. That's certainly what we do. And you have the faith and the trust that you have a group of high character guys come in, they're going to connect in the locker room, and that chemistry, off the court is going to translate to on the court.
Last question for me. I want to I maybe should have asked about this earlier, but I want to hear more about your coach, Tom Hankins. What kind of job has he done leading this group, and what makes him such a coach that you trust so much?
I'll start by saying what a pleasure it is to work with Coach Hankins every day. I joke with a lot of my colleagues, I do think that Coach and I have probably the closest GM-coach relationship in the G League, which is very unique. We don't really seem to get tired of each other. Knock on wood, that doesn't change this season. We will go grab dinner, grab a coffee, whatever it may be on the road. We sit beside each other, on the planes, or we sit one in front of each other on the road, on the bus trips, that sort of thing. So we're constantly talking, not just hoops, but I think life in general. So I'm very fortunate to work with, somebody with Tom's wealth of experience. So this is his 6th season coaching, and like I said, my 5th season as GM. So, he had 1 season under his belt before I came in, but I've been able to see his growth and just kind of his confidence, finding his voice at the professional level. His previous experience came from college, and that's not an easy transition, for anybody, let alone a head coach. So it's been a pleasure to see him really find his voice, and just his connectability with the players, I think, is his superpower. I would certainly describe him as a player's coach. Guys love him. He's able to connect with them, about everything, and just kind of approaches things the right way. He's garnered a ton of respect from his teams over the season, and that hasn't changed this year. I think, it's a big year expectation wise, coming in, for us at the G League level. We've found a lot of success. We've set franchise records for NBA call-ups and have reached the G League postseason 3 consecutive years. And obviously the Pacers finals run, like, as a whole organization, there's a lot of, kind of higher expectations, and Coach Hankins is going to take that and run with it. Long story short, it's an absolute pleasure to work with Coach.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at his Wikipedia page, just kind of seeing the story of kind of where he's been at in terms of his coaching career. Northwest Missouri State in 91, 92, East Central High School 92 through 97, Oral Roberts 97 to 2012 and as assistant, Southern Illinois for 3 years, Central Oklahoma before he lands as an assistant player development coach with the Pacers in 2019, where he was there for about a year and a half. And 2 of the players they have highlighted here that he was focused on working with was Naz Mitru-Long and Brian Bowen. If Pacer fans remember those 2 names that he was working with. And so since then, obviously, been your head coach. And, I love seeing him around the arena. He's always there for regular season games too. I always catch him, floating around courtside, and just, I think he has such a passion for the game, and it's great to see that the players have such a great connection with him. And I think that player development that he got to experience with the Pacers probably helped him get on that level of just being a great communicator. And I'm sure previous experiences as well, but just all of those experiences together, they lead to what you want in your basketball coach. And that's what I think separates Rick Carlisle too from a lot of coaches out there in the NBA. His ability to just, bring in an assistant staff that can just do so much, where he doesn't have to be so hands-on, and allows his coaching staff to work with him. And I'm sure Coach Hankins is the same way. So anything else you want to tell us about the G League and the Noblesville Boom in this upcoming season before I let you go?
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. I would just urge fans. I think just today, actually, single game tickets went on sale. I got an email about that, which is pretty cool. So if you hop on the team's website, would love to have as many fans at the Noblesville Arena as possible. Our home opener is Saturday, November 8th against the Grand Rapids Gold. So that's coming up very quickly. We're also, I think it's going to be announced soon, we're going to have a inter-squad scrimmage. I think that will be the first event at the arena, Tuesday, November 4th. So pay attention to socials.
What time will that game be,
I believe it starts at 6:30 p.m. Okay. So we'll put, I know the team will definitely put that out on all of our platforms, and get that rolling. So that's a great chance to kind of have your first introduction to the team before the official home opener. But once again, could not be more excited for this season and plant our roots in the new city, and just have that chance to interact with the fans and everything. And thank you again for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
No, Chris, I appreciate your insight, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity here on our Pacers podcast to talk more about the Boom. I think it's great that the team name is after, Slick Leonard with his Boom Baby call. And I'll just tell you a funny story. A guy that I work with, he's 67 years old, and he was talking to me today about his nickname growing up, and he said that they used to call him Slick. And I'm like, oh, were you like, a slick operator? Like, why did they call you Slick? He said, nah, he said, there was 5 of us, and we all like to play basketball. And the Pacers were really good back in the 70s. And he said, so we would always name each other after certain players that were on the team. He said, I was the worst one. So I got the nickname Slick for the head coach because I was a good coach, but not a good player. And I said, well, Slick Leonard was a pretty good player when he was out there on the court. But obviously when you guys were watching him, probably more of a coach than a player at that point. But just thought that was a really funny story that I heard today. And I was like, I just got to bring it up with you guys being the Boom. And then I guess I have one extra last one for you. Did you have much of a relationship with Nancy Leonard? I know that she just recently passed, and the Pacers paid homage to her at the opening game. But was there any interactions you had with her at all? And what are your thoughts on her?
Yeah, I certainly had a few interactions over the course of the years. I mean, her sitting courtside every game, would have a chance to chat and say hello any chance that I got. Actually, when I first started as an intern with the Pacers in 2012, Slick, I had a ton of interactions with Slick, when he was still traveling with the team and helping there. And he was really close with a lot of staff that I was working with on a daily basis. So yeah, that definitely translated. It's still very much remember being there in the press conference when it was announced that Slick was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That was pretty special in my younger years with the Pacers. And then, any chance you'd have, especially once the team name was announced, kind of had a chance to chat with Nancy about it. And like everybody else has said, she'll be incredibly missed. And the lasting impact both her and Slick made, on the entire organization cannot be, kind of celebrated enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's no words to describe the impact they had for this team. I mean, it's just you can't say enough great things about them. So, Chris, I do appreciate your time. Pacer fans, make sure you're on the lookout for the schedule release of the Noblesville Boom schedule. Try to get out there for opening night. You said it was November 8th? November 8th, right? And so the Pacers will be on the road, I believe, at that time too. So good chance to check them out at home. And then, of course, maybe that inter-squad scrimmage that Tuesday before. Keep an eye on for that. And will they need to have tickets for that game?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think details are still being ironed out. I've been looped in a little bit, but yeah, like I said, definitely pay attention to all Noblesville Boom socials because that will be blasted here pretty soon. But yeah, would love to see as many Pacers fans, in the stands, and then obviously once you're a Pacers fan, you become a Boom fan, so it's a natural transition.
Absolutely. Well, Pacer Nation, we're going to close it out for today's episode. Hope you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And if you're not, please do so and give us a like on this video. Let us know in the comment section below what you thought of today's conversation. And if you're not already subscribed on the audio side of things, please do that. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. And we'll be back tomorrow to recap the Pacers game against the Dallas Mavericks. We'll talk to you.